Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and I'm getting a chance to drive the new 2024 Hyundai Kona Electric. New Kona is out, looks very, very different than the previous Kona, going for a very bold, futuristic looking styling here. But the electric version gets some meaningful upgrades as well, and interestingly poises itself pretty aggressively here in the electric vehicle market, because so many new EVs we've driven are great, but they're also $80,000, whereas this one is not. They technically have a standard range version of the car that only has 200 miles of EPA estimated range. That one's coming in around $32,000, and I get, for some people that's going to be totally fine. For me, I'd pay a little bit extra, step up to the SEL, extended range, getting you 261 miles of EPA estimated range, costing about $36,000, but if you lease one of these, then they can factor in the federal tax credit and you get a pretty mean deal. One of the first things I'm noticing here, big, thicky tires. It's so often that we get cars with these real huge wheels on them, tiny rubber band style tires that really let in a lot of road imperfection, but 215/60 R17s running here from Kumho Solis. So that's nice to see. Nice to see some sidewall there. Also, interestingly, still rocking the front charger port here, CCS style, so you can charge this thing up. We'll take a look at the sheet inside for the actual charging specs. This is a little bit of a first drive, as it will be noted in the title. We might be getting one of these back at DMHQ for a full week review and do a range test and everything, but this is a little bit of my first impressions on the car, as well as comparing it a little bit to our personal 2023 Chevrolet Bolt EUV, because they're definitely fighting for a similar crown, although Chevy has given up on the Bolt for now. Apparently it will be back for 2025 model year, but you can still pick up Bolts used, or maybe a few new ones, so you might be considering. Something I do like is this big floor, deep floor, big trunk area, comparatively for this size of vehicle, very similar to what we see in the Bolt. Power that down. I bet my wife Alyssa would like to have a power rear tailgate like this model, but I just like pulling it down manually. I find it easier. Doors that don't open super wide if you're putting a rear-facing car seat in here. It's going to be a little bit tight, but at least as an adult, I can tell you that fitting back here is slightly more comfortable than the Bolt EUV. A little bit more room. The Bolt EUV's windows go up really high right here, and pretty high belt line. The seats are a little bit less reclined as well. Got enough knee room, 5'10" person. Some air vents back here, important if you're taking passengers around, as well as 2 USB-C ports if people need to juice up. Some fun stitching we're seeing as well. I don't know how well the vibrant electric aspects will play out for the Kona, because some people are going to think they're cool, and some people are going to just want a normal car. No sort of frunk action, just mechanicals under the hood. Again, a little bit of color accent there. Bring the car to life so I can get a little air conditioning running on me. One of the biggest mistakes I think Hyundai has made with this vehicle is the large swaths of gray inside here. I, for one, just don't like gray in interiors of cars. I don't like it in interiors of houses. I'm just not a big fan of the color gray. And I think it makes the car look simple and cheap and Spartan in here. But some of you might appreciate it. Tiny bit of center console area going down to a deeper opening. Nice big openings here that you can bring out cup holders too if you need. Wireless device charger in there, and that is important because I believe we actually have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on this Kona Electric. That's important to note. This is a limited model that we're in, and it looks like you can get a few different colors. It looks like you can get a black interior as well, so I would like to see that. This is the sage green they call it, which I call gray. $41K for what we're looking at here. I believe that's before destination, so you're looking at about a $42,000 car as spec'd. That 261 miles of range, 65 kilowatt hour battery pack, 200 horsepower, 400 volts. It's not giving us an actual kilowatt readout for our maximum charging speed there, but it says 43 minutes, 10 to 80% on a 150. Most importantly, in this limited model, all the features you're going to want, including digital key, wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, I mentioned that, the digital gauge clusters. We've got a sunroof, although it's not panoramic. We've got a Bose sound system, and heated and ventilated front seats, and a lot of safety features as well. All that for $41,000, but how does it drive? I like that Hyundai's been doing this column shifter for a lot of their vehicles recently. Keeps the center area very open. useful here for having our controls, physical controls here for heated steering wheel, heated and ventilated seats, drive modes, 360-degree camera. That's another feature you're going to want to have at this price point. So far, I'm happy with the feature set. And again, as soon as we get out on this road, that's not going to be terribly bumpy, but it's going to show us how nice it is having some extra sidewall. It's that meme of it's free real estate. It's just like manufacturers, it's free bump dampening to just give yourself a little extra sidewall. And yeah, maybe it doesn't look quite as cool as the larger wheels and doesn't corner quite as aggressively, but it's going to ride better for your day-to-day driving. So I'm glad to see 17s on here. Just a quick first drive, so it's not like we're getting a whole ton of different types of driving impressions on the car, but not very loud in here. I'd like to hear that. Wind noise, fairly well damped. I'm also liking the lighter headliner, even though we've got this sage green gray interior. Lighter headliner, I like that. It makes it feel a little more airy. I don't like how far away the screen is. I have to reach way forward in order to touch things, and yeah, theoretically speaking, you shouldn't have to touch your screen too often. It's more of a visual exercise, but I don't like how far away some of the new Hyundai screens have been. I like the size of the steering wheel. I like the material of the steering wheel. I like all the physical controls on the wheel as well. These 4 dots right here representing the Morse code for the letter H. I've got full iPedal regen on right now, and you can see it's still peppy and then slows itself down dramatically. And Hyundai's gotten the regen curve pretty darn good in terms of it's not yanking you to a stop and engaging the regen too quickly. It's a nice smoothed out experience as I start to slow down. The only feature I'm noticing that this is missing compared to the Bolt EV is the camera rear view mirror. I know that's something that Alyssa and I both use daily on her car, but other than that, this is a quieter ride than the Bolt, both from a motor standpoint. If you're familiar with the Bolt EV, you really hear the drive motor run when you get on it. And it's quieter from a wind noise perspective, road noise perspective, and it rides significantly better than the Bolt. And it feels a little more spacious inside as well. Not much, not significantly, but just enough to feel like a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more open. The Bolt feels a little bit more like a normal, like more of a car. This feels slightly, just ever so slightly more like an SUV. Oh, you do have this camera blind spot monitor that comes up when you turn your turn signals on. I know a lot of people appreciate that. I don't find it super useful. I just took a road trip up here in the Ioniq 6 that technically has it, and the blind spot monitoring in the mirrors is much more helpful to me, but some people appreciate that feature. I'm also appreciating that even on fan speed 1, I'm not hearing the air conditioning run too dramatically. It's not silent, but it's not loud. Not quite as peppy as the Bolt, but still plenty fast. It's got that characteristic electric vehicle speed. I don't appreciate how we've just got this tiny sunshade here, but yet it's powered. It's just, don't go that far. It's just one more thing to break, and it's one more thing to wait on and listen to. I could simply reach up, throw that closed nice and easy. It's a bit unfortunate that that thing needed to be an component. Do we have full extension here on the sun visors though? Yes, we do. Good. And got a little handle up here for the driver as well. I like that. So initial impressions, I really like the Kona Electric. I think for the price, especially if you lease one, this is one of the best second car value propositions on the market right now. A lot of people aren't talking about it, and that's where you can usually score yourself a really, really good deal. Now, I wouldn't want it as a primary vehicle because of the slower charging speeds. We have our Chevy Bolt EV, and it's not our primary vehicle, but we have used it on a road trip, and the way I see it, you can get away with doing a 1 charging stop road trip. That to me isn't the end of the world, because you can plan a meal around it and get a full charge within that time. But it's not something that I really want to rely on as a road trip sort of vehicle. And it's the same thing for this. Yes, the charging speed's a little bit quicker than the Bolt, but it's still not as fast as you could get from a lot of the more premium and admittedly more expensive electric vehicles. I mean, yeah, you could lease one of these and get away with it as your primary vehicle for a few years if you wanted, but I wouldn't sink big money into it and purchase it, because it's just going to be worth so little in not too too much longer of time. And honestly, if you're gonna buy something like this new, why wouldn't you just buy something like a few-year-old, what's that, the Niro, the Kia Niro electric, and just drive one of those. I mean, similar technology in there. Just drive it for a few years and get something else. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the Kona or the Ioniq 5N that we've been driving today here as well, check the link below. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.